Okay, so I'm going to be talking about my favourite and least favourite movies of all time. Now, my fifth favourite movie, coming in at number 5, is Speed. I watched this a few years ago with my dad when I was about 8, which was really inappropriate because this is a 15. But I was 8 when I first watched this, and I remember loving it then. But my dad threw out a load of his DVDs a few months ago, and he said, "Do you want to take some of them?" So I took loads of them, including this. Speed is brilliant. I watched it again yesterday because I was like, oh, I haven't seen this since I was 8. I'll rewatch it. And it's really good. Keanu Reeves is great, as he always is. He was great in The Matrix. And just all of his movies that I've seen him in, which isn't that many, admittedly. But he is really good. And I like Keanu Reeves, and so I thought that was a good choice. Dennis Hopper as well, he's in it. He's the bad guy of this film. He's good. And Sandra Bullock's in it. I like Sandra Bullock, not as much as I like Keanu Reeves and Dennis Hopper, but I like her. She's an alright actress. She was better in Speed 2 than she was in this, which is strange, I thought. But this is better than Speed 2, because Speed 2 is rubbish. That isn't quite in my bottom 5, Speed 2, but it's pretty close. It'd come maybe number 6, because it's not good at all. At number 4 is Mission Impossible 4 Ghost Protocol. It's not called Mission Impossible 4. They went 1, 2, 3 and then thought, you know what? Calling them 1, 2, 3 and 4 is far too mainstream. Let's call it Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol. But this was brilliant. I mean, the casting is great. Obviously it had to have Tom Cruise in it. He's brilliant, as always. I mean, he was great in everything I've seen him in. Collateral, all the other Mission Impossible films. Minority Report, which lots of people seem to dislike, but I thought was a really good film. Rock of Ages he was good in, and Tropic Thunder, I thought he was amusing in that, even though he was more of a cameo appearance than an actual part. But Ghost Protocol, the story of this, feels like you've seen it before. But that doesn't change the fact that it's a really good film. It also has Simon Pegg in it, which is great. He's an extremely good actor. He's in a new film, The World's End, which was filmed actually in my dad's hometown, Letchworth Garden City. This has an incredibly strong cast, an incredibly strong story. Jeremy Renner is in it, who played Hawkeye in The Avengers, and he was in the new Bourne film, which I hated. I turned that off. I turned it off about 20 minutes in because it was not memorable at all. It was absolutely terrible. And as a follow-up, I mean, as a film, it was alright, but as a follow-up to the Bourne series, no, it didn't work at all. Number 3 is Toy Story 3. Purely because it's an absolutely great film, an absolutely great sequel. Tom Hanks is good. Tim Allen as well, he's great. I love Tim Allen as Buzz Lightyear. What I didn't realise until just now is that Ken is voiced by Michael Keaton. He looks nothing like him, obviously. But then again, Tom Hanks looks nothing like Woody and Tim Allen looks nothing like Buzz Lightyear. I don't really know why this is in my top 5. I mean, for the others I've given reasons, and for the others I'm going to give reasons, but this just is a good film, and I just really like this. The other first two I wasn't so keen on, actually. A lot of people are going to hate me for that, but I didn't like them so much. This is like the perfect film, and everyone will enjoy it, apart from my brother, who seemed to detest it with every single fibre of his being. In at number 2 is Buried. Now, the premise of this is he's a truck driver and he goes to some desert place where there's all these insurgents, and the insurgents throw rocks at the cars and shoot them and bury him alive, as you can probably tell by the cover, if you've not seen the film already. The entire film is set inside the coffin. The only other person or people that you see during this film are either voices that he's talking to on the phone or videos that people have sent him on his phone. Like, the insurgents send him a video of his colleague from work being shot. That's the only time you see another actual person in the film, and it works really well. You'd think that it'd be difficult, but it's actually really good because they use all these different lightings, like he has a glow stick and a torch which can switch from white to red, and it basically completely changes the mood of it entirely, and the setting and the scene. It makes you feel like you're in a completely different place even though you know you're not. and the phone shines blue, so it has all these different mood lighting setting things that really work well. Ryan Reynolds as well is a great actor. He was in The Green Lantern, which I didn't like, but he was also in The Change Up, which I thought was great, and yeah, he's just a good actor. In this especially, he's brilliant. But you will enjoy this film, apart from if you're claustrophobic. If you're claustrophobic, do not even go near this, because you will absolutely have a heart attack. Number 1, I don't have the DVD for, because it hasn't arrived yet. I ordered it off of play.com a few days ago, about 5 days ago, and it hasn't arrived yet, and it annoys me, but I'm living with it. Silver Linings Playbook. I've already mentioned that this is my favourite film in my questions and answers video and in my first video, but the acting is brilliant in this film. Bradley Cooper and Jennifer Lawrence are always great actors. They always have been. Jennifer Lawrence was great in The Hunger Games, which is maybe my 6th favourite film after Speed, but she's great. She really plays the part well, because they're playing people with bipolar. She does that really well, and apparently that's an incredibly good, accurate representation of bipolar. And so is Bradley Cooper. Bradley Cooper's brilliant. He was in The A-Team, which although it wasn't such a good film, he was good in. He was also in Limitless, which I really liked, and the Hangover films, which remain to this day to be some of my favourite films. The premise is great. Robert De Niro is brilliant in this. He was in Stardust, and I watched Stardust the day before I watched this, where he played this sort of weird pirate ship captain who was very effeminate. So after watching that and then watching this, it was a really big change, but it worked. He was great in this. He plays OCD, superstitious dad, and he does it really well. And like I said with Justice, he completely steals it. Whatever scene he is in, he is stealing that. You can't help but focus on Robert De Niro because he's such a good actor. But those are my top 5, and 3 films that I was thinking of putting in my top 5 are these: Life of Pi, Avatar. Now, I think if I hadn't done extensive thinking about what my top 5 were going to be, I would have put those in it. But those are so effects dependent. I think if they didn't have as many special effects, or if they didn't have any at all, I wouldn't be as interested in the films, because the stories of them aren't particularly special. Avatar is basically him, although he gets into a fake body, into the Avatar body. It's basically him just going to visit a tribe, and you've seen that before in films. Sucker Punch, they're just escaping from an asylum. You can see that in a lot of other films, people escaping from places. And Life of Pi is just basically a Ghana boat, and I think without special effects, well, the tiger wouldn't have been there for a start, so it would have been terrible. But these films I thought I was going to put in my top 5, and didn't. So now, on to the bottom 5. At number 5 is Bicentennial Man, which stars Robin Williams. Now, I like Robin Williams. He's been good in a few things, but that's it. He's not great in this. The story is about this family, and they decide to get a robot to do jobs for them, but the robot just suddenly starts developing a conscience and wants to become a real person. So he goes through this incredibly long process of becoming a human, and it's a really boring film. Not a lot happens other than a court trial, and he starts becoming to look more like a normal Robin Williams than a robot. But apart from that, pretty much nothing. So don't watch this. Number 4 is Willow. This stars Warwick Davis. Warwick Davis is really good. I liked him in Harry Potter, but I liked him in the episode of Doctor Who with the Cybermen a few weeks ago. Nightmare in Silver, he was good in that. And he's just generally a good actor, but this is one of the first films he did. He was incredibly young in this, and basically, it's not that good. The back of it says, when young Willow finds an abandoned baby, he's suddenly thrust into an adventure filled with magic and danger. According to an ancient prophecy, the sacred child is destined to end the reign of the evil sorceress Queen Bavmorda. Now, with only a single swordsman at his side, Willow must overcome the forces of darkness that threaten to destroy anyone who stands in the Queen's way. That sounds like an alright film, but it's not. Number 3 is Iron Sky. Basically, the idea of this is in 1945, Nazis retreated to the moon, and now they're coming back to take over the world. I don't need to say any more about that, because it's stupid. There are no actors in it that you would have ever seen before in anything, and you'll forget about it pretty quickly after you've watched it, so just don't even go near this, please. Number 2 is Help I'm a Fish. Now, I watched this when I was younger, and I really enjoyed it. Basically, the kids get turned into fish, and they have to try and make the antidote before it runs out, and they're stuck as fish forever. I watched this when I was like 3, and I bought it again recently from a second-hand store for like £2, just to relive the experience. I would have rather had good memories of it than watch it a second time, because it's not good. The acting is shoddy. One advantage, though, is that it has Alan Rickman in it, who played Snape and was in the Die Hard movie 1. So, no. And number 1, a film that my brother made me go and see at the cinema, and still holds to be one of his favourite films of all time, and still insists is actually good, is Conan the Barbarian. Basically, it feels like you've seen this in every single other barbarian film ever. It felt like The Prince of Persia, but worse. Basically, it felt like The Prince of Persia, but worse. It felt like you'd watched The Prince of Persia, and then you'd watched this, and they'd spent about £2 billion less making this movie than they had making Prince of Persia. Not in terms of special effects, because they're alright, but I didn't finish this. I've never seen this all the way through. Maybe I should, but I really don't want to. Number 6 on my list, like I said, would have been Speed 2, because it's not that good. Although it has Willem Dafoe in it. But yeah, what are your favourite / worst films? Tell me in the comments, like and subscribe and stuff. And I will see you tomorrow. No.